Audio morning brief for the U.S. stock market, 7:58 a.m. Eastern Time, November 24th. I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. Market behaved itself quite well. I believe we have a short trading today, not as many hours to trade, and holidays, especially if the futures are allowed to trade during the holiday, and it did. This can give a little problem for the model to try to keep up with what's going on an intraday basis that can then impact the level 4 swings during the week. But the interesting thing is when you zoom out and look at like a level 3 trends, it doesn't seem to matter. You don't even notice it. I think the level 4 might have bottomed going into the holiday. And so I think the market may work higher today into Monday or at least Sunday night on the futures side. But I can see some selling in early next week. I think I'll have to get back to my intra-week chart here and give you some downside, but to suggest when I'm wrong. I mean, basically the low for November 23rd into today on the overnight markets, if that's taken out, it shows we're probably wrong a little bit, meaning it can go down today. And you can see how the market has slowed its pace of rally this week compared to prior weeks. And so you would think maybe it's getting tired and it's ready to set back. So as we zoom out for those level 4s, when we are aware that it just may be too difficult to forecast right now because of the holiday interference, but it looks like there's more of a bias towards being up today and maybe into Monday. As we look at the level 3 trend, however, which contains level 4s, but it's more important than level 4s and it's longer duration. It's the best move during a month, up and down, a monthly buy-sell signal, if you will. The model is showing it's possible we've seen a very quiet level 3 top and bottom already. And if so, the market's going higher through next week into the following week, into the week of December 4th. And to me, when I look at the intraday stuff that we're looking at and visualize the intraday charts, it would be what's called a running correction, meaning it slowed its pace of increase into, say, a cyclical top, then bottom, that just simply didn't matter. It didn't create any downside. The best it could do was slow the market down like a headwind. What this means is the demand was backing off, but the supply side, the sellers, just didn't dare do anything at all. They were just on the sidelines. And if you can get that cyclical bottom in, and you can find this concept works with all forms of analysis. So if you have someone who's not cyclical, but they're looking for a bottom very soon here, I'm sure they're also aware of running corrections, where it simply doesn't work. It's just something about all analysis, all right? But when you come out of such a bottom, the market then normally wakes up, it speeds higher. And so we could see a brisk up week next week, that this week slowed down compared to the prior week. And if you look at it, the week before that it slowed down compared to the other prior week when it exploded. So it's almost like this every other week pattern that it slows down. So we may see this market surge and just fly right above 4,600. I think the marketplace wants to challenge the high of the year around the 4,600 mark. And I think it's going to take it out sometime now into January. And it may be sooner rather than later at this pace. But having said that, if you look at it visually on a weekly chart, we don't see any evidence of these level 3s. They're just, the market is so strong. I should say evidence of the level 3 downtrends. We see plenty of evidence of level 3 uptrends. It just looks at the chart that, hey, there's got to be a down week here soon. This is quite the run-up. So what may occur is the market is still topping out for level 3 now and early next week, pulls back next week, puts a level 3 bottom in, and then is up the following week. Versus the other scenario saying we've already seen the top or bottom, it just didn't work for downside at all, and it's just heading on for the next level 3, meaning it's up all next week, may even surge. You're not going to get a top the following. And unfortunately, yes, the holiday mixes in with this to make this more difficult. Why we can't pick when is it, all right? So all I can tell you is we have to be on the lookout from now through next week and even the following week for some kind of level 3 pullback. But just keep in mind, when we zoom out for this level 3, we then look at the more important types of patterns and trends that occur, say, on a quarterly basis, that at least ought to be going into level 2 top in December, pull back from December into January, level 2 bottom. So if you're looking for a decent pullback to buy, you're probably not going to get it to January, all right? And in the meantime, this market can just keep moving higher. It may be a struggle. It may blast higher. It may do something in between. I don't know. But the model currently is saying the market's unlikely to top out for a level 2 and maybe the more important level 1 until about the week of December 11th. We then bring the seasonal traders in who might be backing off a bit because they assume November to be the best up month and December the second best month of the year. But that means also some years in December is actually down. So some of the seasonal bulls might be backing off, being a little bit careful here how much more upside there is for this seasonal upswing, okay? Then there's those that go into greater detail and they look at what's called a Santa Claus rally. And the Santa Claus rally is normally, according to some of the old-fashioned professionals on Wall Street, even people working on the exchanges, have always felt that it really starts after the day of Christmas and lasts into January 2nd, in other words, the first day of business of the next year, meaning it's really about a 5-day window for a Santa Claus rally. But there's others who believe it can be of a longer duration and starts ahead of Christmas. Who knows, but I'm leaning more towards this thing could be up all of next week, pull back the following week, and then starts a Santa Claus rally into Christmas and beyond Christmas. But I just got to warn you, things may top out as soon as December 11th, but I think looking out to that level 2, we're not going to get any serious selling to January. Or it may begin the last week of Christmas as we don't get the Santa Claus rally. But I don't think it's going to start as soon as December 11th, and then it's just down into January. I just don't see it. So to me, I got to err on the side it's going to top later than that. And we just have to realize at least the first half of December ought to be pretty good here. And it's just a matter of next week, do we get a setback then higher, or does it just keep going higher? And it's just difficult to forecast at this time, okay? And so you can be more of a trend follower saying, let's just stay focused on that bigger trend higher into December, maybe well into December. And let's focus on the idea it's probably going to tackle the 4,600 mark, if not put in a new high for the year. And then we have all these quantitative people also showing studies that should do this. And they're even showing studies that the behavior so far this year suggests next year to be up, okay? So it's still a long-term bull market. Now, how will interest rates go with this? Because I'm not convinced we're getting enough news of what are the companies doing, what are these stocks worth. I think, so we may see at times when the stock market doesn't know what to follow, what to do, it'll at least look at interest rates because, hey, the interest rates are fluctuating every second, every minute anyways, gives them something to watch. And we know the computers like to still trade in line with interest rates. I think the interest rates, they've bounced and stayed up a little bit longer, but I think it's because of the holiday trade has distorted it. I don't think it's a sign of something wrong. I'm going to assume interest rates are backing off today, and they can back off to Monday. I think that helps that level 4 trade in the stock market to be the opposite direction, be up. So it looks like to me, bonds, yes, they're pulled back a little bit. Interest rates bounced a little bit, but I think in the next few days, we'll probably see interest rates back off, bonds move higher. That should help the stock market move higher, okay? Now, I also think that even though I'm bullish bonds and bearish interest rates into next year, we may see that the interest rates has to move sideways for quite a while, okay? And so it's really more or less the speed of the interest rate market can impact the stock market. Otherwise, I think the stock market starts focusing on other things, starts backing away from interest rates. For the S&P 500 cash, if we see it trade below 45.78, consider downside to 45.40 to 45.30, but I think that's about it. And I'd probably just throw a dart to go for a level 3 bottom then. In the meantime, little concern the level 3 bottom just occurred a long way up and the market's just going higher. So you start seeing trade above 4564.47 for the S&P 500 cash. I think that's a bullish indication. And then take out the high of the week at 4568.49. I think that's evidence that, granted, maybe the market still tops early next week for level 3 anyways, but I'm leaning more towards it. Maybe a bullish sign is just going to be up all of next week, that it's not going to top early next week. And that's what we're up against. It can top early next week, put it down. I think what it is the market's unsure. I think it's been so busy taking time off for the holiday, it really doesn't have a plan yet what it wants to do next week. And so it just depends how the news comes in there to bias them and what's the interest rates going to do. Because again, if they're not finding sufficient news on the stock market side, I think they're just going to trade whatever the interest rates are doing. What else can I tell you here? As I look at the futures, we still have outstanding objectives of 4,600 to 4,616. So again, that implies even cash can go to 4,600. So I think there's more upside here, but it's just a matter of dealing with this short day today. Is most of the people willing to not trade? It's just going to be a few day traders playing some games here, and it's going to be a whole lot of nothing, noise maybe. And it's just, I kind of doubt it's going to pull back much, frankly. All right. If it does, it just looks like to me I better have a bias of higher next week somehow, some way, and deal with these level 4, level 3 setbacks along the way. And the reason for that is, I zoom out, I've got to stay focused on those level 2, level 1 trends that are not having a problem with any noise. It doesn't even show any noise. The trend is up. There's no signs of a top. There's no signs it wants to come down. And I just think we have to assume there's still higher objectives. But if they want to knock it down, again, 45.30s, 45.40s, okay, maybe even 45.50 is about as low as this market's going to go. What would I see for an extreme pullback next week? Probably no lower than 45.20 to 4500s. And again, I think there's just plenty of upside potential to put it above 4600. I've got to stick with that bias. I don't think the dollar's going to interfere here, and I don't think the interest rates are going to interfere. And it just feels like this market has quietly slipped into a level 3 bottom, and it can jump next week. But I don't see enough indications to be brave enough to say that's what will occur. That's the forecast. Fortunately, we have an understanding how and why it can set back in the next few days and then higher. So that's the best I can tell you. On this very short-term stuff, it's just murky right now, and primarily because of the holiday. And next week, they'll be back to work, most of them by Tuesday of next week. And that's where we can concentrate on what do they really want to do Tuesday through Thursday. What are they telling us? And then we'll take a look at what kind of data is coming next week. But yeah, I think it's higher in December, folks. Past results and on the sign, indicative future results. Have a great day. Thank you.